The rain had barely stopped the day they buried their parents. The red earth of Idoma land was soaked, mirroring the heaviness in Eneh's heart. She was just 19 years old. Her eyes, wide and questioning, scanned the small crowd of mourners who came with rehearsed sympathies and fleeting concerns. But her brother Oche stood tall and detached, his face a blank slate. By the next week, everything changed. Their father's cocoa farm in Otukpo was sold by Oche. The house they grew up in was rented out to strangers by Oche. Their mother's jewelries, passed down from generations, suddenly vanished. Eneh watched silently as Oche, barely 25 years old, traded away their legacy for fast cash and a flamboyant wedding to his city lover Amaka. When Oche packed his belongings and moved to Abuja with his new bride, Eneh's tears finally broke free. "What about me, Oche?" she asked one night as they packed the last boxes. "You'll be fine," he muttered. "You are going to stay with Madame Danjuma. She's a good woman." Eneh did not argue. She had learned that words meant little to her elder brother, but her instinct screamed something was off. Madame Danjuma's house in Makurdi was nothing like home. Her late husband had once been a good friend of their father. But now she was a shadow of herself, worn, bitter, and constantly overwhelmed. With 3 children of her own and barely enough food to go round, Eneh quickly became more burden than blessing. "You must learn to help," Madame Danjuma often said, thrusting brooms and buckets into Eneh's hands. But there was no warmth in her voice, only resignation. Then, one evening, after a particularly heated argument about money, Madame Danjuma made a decision. "I have found work for you," she announced to Eneh, who was mopping the floor. "What kind of work, ma?" "A housemaid position with a couple in the city. They are good, very good people, Pastor and Mrs. You'll be safe." It didn't feel like a choice. It felt like exile. Reverend and Mrs. Ogali's house in Benin City gleamed with polished tiles and holy pictures. The couple was respected, they were influential, and most notably, they were childless. At first, they treated Eneh kindly. She was given a small room and chores that kept her busy from dawn to dusk. Reverend Ogali often quoted scriptures about humility and obedience. Mrs. Ogali praised Eneh's silence and hard work. But things changed. The stares began, long piercing glances from Reverend Ogali when no one was looking. Then came the touches, unwanted, hidden, and very sinful. Please subscribe to this channel, turn on your notification bell, like, and comment. Thank you. When Eneh discovered she was pregnant, the house changed overnight. Mrs. Ogali, upon hearing the confession, did not scream. She did not cry. She simply sat, calculating. "We'll take care of it," she finally said. "You will have the baby. We will raise him as our own." They made it sound like a gift, a holy engagement. They even offered Madame Danjuma a large sum of money to seal the deal. Eneh sat silently during that meeting. She was numb. Her voice felt buried under layers of shame and betrayal. She tried to convince herself this was the best. The promise that the child would live a good life, attend good schools, wear fine clothes. But those promises shattered once the money exchanged hands. The pregnancy was not easy. Eneh was forced to continue working even as her belly grew. The Ogali's kindness vanished. Mrs. Ogali would slap her if she moved too slowly, and Reverend Ogali avoided her altogether unless it was to back orders or deliver food with disdain. Her body ached, her spirit dimmed. There were nights she cried silently into her thin mattress, clutching her belly, whispering prayers to a God she barely understood. "Please, God, let this child be strong. Let me live, please, God." When labor came, it was swift and brutal. No hospital, no midwife, just Mrs. Ogali with a bucket of warm water. "It's a boy," she had said, not looking at Eneh. "You should be grateful." But Eneh wasn't grateful. She was broken. The child was named Joseph by the Ogalis. He was taken from her arms when he became a toddler, dressed in fine clothes for church services, and paraded around as a miracle child given to the Reverend and his wife after years of barrenness. Eneh was referred to as the maid. She was to remain silent. One day, while cleaning the study, Eneh overheard a visitor praising the child's resemblance to the Reverend. "God really works wonders, oh," the man said. Mrs. Ogali had laughed. "Yes, so he does." That night, something snapped inside Eneh. Her silence had resulted in chains. She had to break free. She packed a small bag and took her baby while the couple slept. She fled through the back gate, her heart thudding like a drum. She found her way to Abuja, battered and desperate, knocking on the door of the only person she knew, her brother Oche. He opened the door, saw the child, and stepped back. "What are you doing here?" he asked coldly. "I had nowhere else to go, Brother Oche. Please help me." "You should have stayed where you were. I told them you wouldn't last." "What do you mean, brother?" "I mean, I knew you would come crawling. That's why I sent you there." Eneh blinked. "Sent me?" "Yes. Madam Danjuma did not take you out of kindness. She paid me. I sold you to Madam Danjuma, Eneh. So you better return to where you're coming from." The wall tilted. Her knees buckled. But she did not fall. She couldn't afford to. Not with Joseph in her arms. "You sold me, Brother Oche?" Her voice was a whisper, but it cut through like lightning. "Get out of here and go," Oche yelled. Eneh wandered for days, sleeping under bridges, clutching her child, begging for food. Joseph whimpered often, hungry and cold. But Eneh refused to let go. She couldn't. Not now. Not ever. One morning, a woman named Mama Boluwatife, who sells akara, bean cakes, by the roadside, noticed her. "You don't look like a street girl," the woman said gently. "I wasn't. I was a daughter, a sister, a slave," Eneh replied. Moved by sympathy, the woman, Mama Boluwatife, offered her food, then a spot to rest her head. Day after day, Eneh helped her fry and sell akara. Customers came to recognize the quiet, beautiful girl with sad eyes and a baby always strapped to her back. Rumors spread. One day, a journalist named Adaobi investigating stories of abused housemaids arrived. She asked Eneh questions no one had dared to ask. Eneh, tired of silence, began to speak. And when she did, the world started to listen. Adaobi's article hit the newsstands like wildfire. The articles read, "The Silent Slave Girl and the Stolen Son. A housemaid's cry for justice." The nation reeled. Eneh's face, young and haunted, became a symbol of many forgotten girls sold into domestic servitude. Donations poured in. A legal advocacy group took up her case. The Ogalis were summoned by authorities, and for the first time in her life, Eneh stood in a courtroom not as a victim, but as a voice. "I was a child," she said on the witness stand, her voice trembling. "I was tricked. I was used. I was sold, but not anymore." Reverend and Mrs. Ogali were stripped of their pastoral titles and sentenced for child abuse and falsifying documents. A rich widower named Mr. Johnson, who had carefully followed Eneh's case, reached out to the legal advocacy group to get Eneh's contact. Months later, Eneh became Mrs. Johnson, and Mr. Johnson legally adopted Joseph, Eneh's son. Madam Danjuma, confronted with her involvement, wept and begged for forgiveness. The judge ordered she serve time in a correctional center for trafficking. But Oche was nowhere to be found. Months passed. Eneh's husband enrolled her in an adult learning program. Joseph started preschool at a private institution. One afternoon, while driving her son Joseph home from school, Eneh spotted a familiar figure standing under a mango tree near her home. It was Oche. Please subscribe to this channel, turn on your notification bell, like, and comment. Thank you. Dirty, bearded, clothes torn. Life had not been kind to him. I heard what happened, he muttered. I lost everything. Amaka left. Business crashed. Eneh stood still. Then, slowly, she said, So you finally got what you sold me for? He nodded, ashamed. I am so sorry, Eneh. She looked at him for a long moment. I forgave you the day I held my son and ran into the night. But I won't forget. He opened his mouth to speak, but she drove off, her son in the car. That afternoon, the sun broke through the clouds. Eneh was no longer a victim. She was a mother, a survivor, a wife to a good man, and a light that refused to dim.